The 2024 NHL Draft is fast approaching at the Las Vegas Sphere. It's one of the most exciting dates on the hockey calendar as teams look to add future superstars to their organizations. The top few prospects will even make an impact on their NHL club's lineup as soon as next season. With that said, this is our 2024 NHL Mock Draft Top 16. First overall, the San Jose Sharks select Macklin Celebrini. This pick is 100% locked in. It's simply not up for discussion. We've talked a lot about Macklin here on the channel, as has every other hockey voice. The Canadian center is coming off of a Hobey Baker Award campaign with the Boston University Terriers in the NCAA. During his freshman year at BU, Celebrini recorded 32 goals and 32 assists for 64 points in 38 games. He's the youngest to ever win the Hobey Baker. It has been compared in playing style to NHL studs like Sidney Crosby and Jonathan Toews. That's not to mention his California connection, as his father works for the nearby Golden State Warriors of the NBA. There's simply no way San Jose would pass on their future franchise center, who will immediately make an impact at the NHL level, let alone one that happens to be a local kid. Second overall, the Chicago Blackhawks select Ivan Demidov. There's two players we debated going second overall, and could see the Blackhawks go either way. Either they take their future number one defenseman in Artyom Levshunov, or get Connor Bedard a line mate in Ivan Demidov, which is where we landed. Demidov might be the most purely individually skilled player in the draft, and would complement Bedard well both at 5-on-5 and on the power play. Chicago fans, think about your new Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, perhaps even better. The Russian factor is there, as Demidov is under contract with SKA St. Petersburg of the KHL for next season, but that's unlikely to deter Chicago, as they are still deep in a rebuild. Some may draw comparisons to Matvei Michkov slipping to 7th last year, but now there's rumors he may join the Flyers sooner than expected. Michkov has been better internationally and in the KHL, but Demidov has had one of the most productive MHL seasons from an under-18 player of all time, surpassing Michkov and even Nikita Kucherov, who many have compared him to. Third overall, the Anaheim Ducks select Artyom Levshunov. This pick makes all of the sense in the world for the Ducks, considering they have the best future forward depth, especially at center with studs like Trevor Zegras, Mason McTavish, Leo Carlsson, and now Cutter Gauthier. In terms of left-handed defenders, they have Olen Zellweger and Pavel Mintyukov, meaning Artyom Levshunov would be the perfect replacement on the right side for Jamie Drysdale, who was dealt in the Gauthier trade. Levshunov is a Belarusian defenseman already playing in the NCAA with Michigan State. He was a Hobey Baker Award nominee and will be an elite two-way defenseman at the NHL level, and a slam dunk pick for the Ducks at third overall. Fourth overall, the Columbus Blue Jackets select Anton Silyev. The second defenseman is off the board and on his way to Ohio. Anton Silyev has obvious connections to the many Russians within the organization, but he also fits perfectly as a left-handed foil to a righty in David Jiricek, potentially a future top D pair in Columbus. Silyev is also massive, tied for the tallest eligible player in this year's draft. He is a hulking 6'7" and 211 pounds, making him physically ready to step into an NHL lineup. He's a perfect blend of physicality, offensive instinct, and skating ability. Fifth overall, the Montreal Canadiens select Caden Lidstrom. With Caden Gooley already established and Lane Hudson, David Reinbacher, and Logan Mailloux coming, plus several other young D who could factor into the depth chart in Montreal, the Habs are extremely likely to draft a forward. Caden Lidstrom is a natural priority for the Habs, as he brings a desired size down the middle and would be the second-line center they so desperately need behind captain Nick Suzuki, perhaps one day playing ahead of him. Sixth overall, the Utah Hockey Club selects Zeev Buium. The first ever draft pick in the history of the NHL's newest franchise, we have Utah snagging another defenseman in Zeev Buium. The prospect pool Utah inherited when it purchased the Arizona Coyotes is fairly balanced, allowing them to just take the best player available. Offensively speaking, Buium is as gifted as many of the names already mentioned in this video, and was way more than a point per game in the NCAA this season. The American defenseman played for Denver, just a short flight away from Salt Lake City. He would perfectly complement the length of a Dmitry Simashev. 7th overall, the Ottawa Senators select Zane Parekh. The expectation is the Ottawa Senators will be looking for a defenseman, with a surplus of left-handed D in the form of Jake Sanderson, Thomas Chabot, Jacob Chychrun, Eric Brandstrom, and Tyler Klevin, and a bare right side of Artem Zub and Jacob Bernard-Docker. They jump at the opportunity to take a righty who could soon make an impact at the NHL level. Senators GM Steve Staios is also very familiar with the OHL prospects in this draft, and Zane Parekh is coming off an incredible campaign with the Saginaw Spirit. Parekh's point-producing ceiling and comparisons to former Sens captain Erik Karlsson make this a perfect choice of the organization. They'd likely have an ideal partner for Sanderson within a couple of years. 8th overall, the Seattle Kraken select Sam Dickinson. Another OHL defenseman is off the board, with Seattle snagging Sam Dickinson from the 2024 OHL champions, the London Knights. Since their inception, the Kraken have made 11 picks in the first 2 rounds of the draft, only 2 of which being defensemen. All 3 of their first-round picks have been forwards. It's time they use a premium pick on a D, and Dickinson is the best available as one of the most well-rounded D-men in the class, with stellar skating and impressive production, while being reliable in his own end. 9th overall, the Calgary Flames select Tij Iginla. The Flames get the chance to draft the son of the greatest player in their team's history. Even if he wasn't Jerome's son, many believe Tej is going to go in this range, and he fits with the type of players the Flames have drafted. Iginla would give them some scoring punch and top-of-the-line upside as one of the youngest players in the class, but one who has been rising exponentially for many scouts. Should Iginla go earlier, look at them to snag defenseman Carter Yakimchuk from their own backyard with the Calgary Hitmen. 10th overall, the New Jersey Devils select Berkeley Catton. Nobody expected the Devils to be picking here at the start of the season, with many viewing them as Stanley Cup favorites. Nonetheless, they are expected by many to go with a forward, as their D-core is pretty shored up for the future with Luke Hughes and Simon Nemec. Taking center Berkeley Catton from the Spokane Chiefs gives them his skating and skill that could really function on the power play with a Jack Hughes. There's no doubt you can build a contending team around a 1-2-3 punch down the middle of Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, and Berkeley Catton. 11th overall, the Buffalo Sabres select Carter Yakimchuk. Is it bad to have too much of a good thing? Imagine you're Yakimchuk and eventually joining a blue line consisting of Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, Matthias Samuelsson, and Boehm Byram. That said, this Sabres system does currently lack a premium D prospect, and they'd absolutely get it with Yakimchuk. He has the size every team covets, and an absolute rocket of a shot. 12th overall, the Philadelphia Flyers select Konsta Helenius. A year after Matvei Michkov fell to them and they pounced, the Flyers do the same with Konsta Helenius, one of the biggest risers in this year's draft, and a potential future line mate for Michkov. After losing Cutter Gauthier, Philly needs to draft and develop a top 6 center of the future, and if one of Catton or Helenius are still there, they should 100% be all over it. 13th overall, the Minnesota Wild select Cole Yzerman. Brock Faber reduces the need for the Wild to take a defenseman as they take a swing on Cole Yzerman. He's been all over the place in the rankings, with some scouts seeing him in the top 6 or 7 range. Yzerman is as pure a shooter as they come. Think Cole Caulfield or Alex DeBrincat. He has all the ability to become the game breaker the Wild have so often lacked. Just imagine him on the top power play with Kirill Kaprizov. 14th overall, the San Jose Sharks select Adam Jiricek. With the pick acquired from Pittsburgh in the Erik Karlsson trade, San Jose makes another selection and adds a defenseman, with Celebrini, Will Smith, Quentin Musty, Philip Bystedt, David Edstrom, William Eklund, and more in their forward pool. They snag Adam Jiricek, viewed as a potential top 10 pick last summer before 2 knee injuries derailed his season. The defenseman could be an absolute steal at 14 and become a cornerstone piece in the Sharks' rebuild. 15th overall, the Detroit Red Wings select Michael Brandsegg-Nygard. Steve Yzerman and the Detroit Red Wings love their well-rounded, projectable top 9 players with a high work ethic. Brandsegg-Nygard fits their team DNA to a T and provides real secondary offense as a scorer with skill to complement this. He is set to be the highest drafted Norwegian in NHL history and the first ever selected in the first round. 16th overall, the St. Louis Blues select Brandsegg-Nygard. Brandsegg-Nygard is one of the biggest risers of this class, cracking the top 10 for many scouts, and there's a real possibility he'll be off the board at 16. But if he's still available, St. Louis should be all over him. And if not him, perhaps the best available of those we've already discussed. The right wing from the Oshawa Generals put up 68 points in 63 games and is the classic late bloomer who puts himself into the conversation at the top of the draft late in the process. It's easy to project him as a future top 6 winger, and he'd do great there in St. Louis. But that's our top 16. Feel free to let us know how wrong we are in the comments. Also, let me know which prospect you hope your team selects. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to click like if you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe for more NHL content. We'll see you in the next video.